Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing well. You know who is not doing well? Millions and millions of Americans right now are falling farther behind on credit card payments, auto loans, and they're also falling behind in student loans. And just the other day, we got really bad news for people that are looking for student loan forgiveness. It was like all of a sudden Biden's plan didn't work. It was struck down by a court, and that was weird, right? Well, we all saw that coming. But the point is, millions and millions of Americans are falling farther and farther into debt. Their credit scores are being worked over, and this is what causes a crash. When the truth comes out that more and more people have the inability to gain money through borrowing because their credit gets shot, that's when the whole deck of cards falls down. Now, I've got a couple different stories to go over with you, and it's very important that we dive into this data and think about the ramifications as more and more Americans lose their credit score and lose the ability to borrow money. Oh, and real quick, I'm going to do something I have never, ever done for the next 7 days. I'm releasing a new course, and it's very important that people learn how to build your credit score. So I'm releasing the pre-filming discount of Credit Score Pro for something I've never done before. We're putting out a handful of discount links down below for $39 for the pre-filming discount. And every day we're going to put more of those discount links out there, or a certain amount out there, so that once they're gone, they're gone. But you will learn how to build your credit score, build a thicker binder. And there are even people that have 720 credit scores that need to be up at the 850s. And it's not that hard to build your credit score. It just takes a little bit of organization and a little bit of knowledge to be able to do it. So if you want it, the links are down below. So this first story is out of Axios. It's entitled "Stretched Consumer Delinquency Rates for Credit Cards and Auto Loans Tick Up." It says the share of balances transitioned into delinquency. It says consumers continue to look more financially stressed, according to new data from the New York Fed. Why does it matter? Well, more Americans are falling behind on loan payments. Household balance sheets once looked rock solid. That is no longer the case as the economy slows and high interest rates weigh on the consumer. By the numbers, roughly 8% of auto loan balances were newly delinquent in the second quarter, with payments at least 30 days late. That is roughly flat relative to the start of 2024. The story looks similar for credit card balances, which edged up by 0.1 percentage point from the second quarter. Both are at the highest since the financial crisis. The deterioration in household balance sheets is clearer when comparing these rates to the same period a year ago. Delinquency rates for credit cards have jumped 1.8 percentage points since the second quarter of last year. For auto loans, it's 0.7 percentage points. Now, it says here the share of credit card balances transitioning into serious delinquency status with payments 90 days or more late was about 7.2% last quarter. This time last year, it was 5.1%. So on a percentage basis, that jump is pretty darn massive. And I don't see this easing up anytime soon. Some officials, it says, at the Federal Reserve have called out rising delinquency rates as a sign that the consumers are pinched. Well, no duh. Those aged 30 to 39 have transitioned into delinquency at quicker rates than other cohorts. Now, that's a really interesting age frame, right? The ages from 30 to 39. If you think back to the Great Recession, that was the same age bracket that were falling massively delinquent in their auto loans, their credit cards, and their home payments. And it's a natural thing. So how many people here, just type 1 if you're, your mid 40s to mid 60s, and you remember that time where either you were falling behind because the economy was just dumping fast. There was less items for you to sell at your work. There was less jobs out there, things like that. And, or you knew people that were, right? And so now we're a little older, right? I'm in my late 40s. I went through that, and now we're seeing that exact same age group from age 30 to 39 start to fall. And it's sad because, when you're in your late 20s, you get married, you start a family, you're like, hey, I want to have kids, buy a house, get some nice cars. A lot of people do try and keep up with the Joneses. And all of that's predicated off of a good credit score. And then when all of a sudden people start to fall behind, those credit scores drop, and then you can't even refinance if rates dropped. And that happened a lot to a lot of people in 2007 to 2009 as rates started just plummeting. They didn't even have the ability to refinance because their credit score shot because they missed a couple of credit card payments. And then it blows me away also how many people are leaving thousands and thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars on the table, because when they go to get any kind of loan, whether it be a credit card line of credit or a vehicle payment, a vehicle loan, or a mortgage, how much money you're leaving on the table because you've got a 680 or even a 720, 740 credit score when you could be way up there. Most people don't think about that kind of stuff. How important it is to balance different types of credit lines at specific time points, how to get credit, how to cancel credit cards, all of that kind of stuff. And they're leaving thousands and thousands of dollars on the table for just being a little bit more organized. Now, it says here, something to watch. They said it's a bit foggier for student loans because late payments are still not being reported to credit agencies. Now that brings us to our next story. And again, I'm going to put only a handful of discount links for the next 7 days. If the course is not $39, then the links are done for the day, okay? So for 7 days, we're going to run this. We're going to try something because I think this should be accessible to everyone. Dylan and I talked about it, and we said what we're going to do is we're going to push it out to whoever wants it, every day. If those links are gone, just next morning, we'll have some new ones out there. This is easy to learn. It's easy to learn. It says here, out of Business Insider, 8 million student loan borrowers on Biden's new repayment plan just got more bad news after a federal court officially blocked cheaper payments and debt cancellation. Now, I told you this so many times on the channel about, 6 or 8 months ago, that this was just a bid to buy votes. And there's no way this was going to go through because it was going to crush so many institutions, lending institutions. And on top of that, they were going to be out the money that they were promised in interest. But on top of that, the taxpayer wasn't going to allow it. There's no way. You're sitting there going, thanks. I'm sitting here working at a job and my boss, is my boss because he's got a degree or she's got a degree. And now she or he gets that loan forgiven. Oh, thanks a lot. And that just wasn't going to go over. It says here the 8th Circuit officially blocked the Save Student Loan Repayment Plan in its entirety. It replaces its temporary stay on the plan from July, which paused cheaper payments and debt relief. And again, there are so many people that are not paying their payments on these loans, but since these loans are not being reported, the delinquencies or the forbearance is not being reported to credit agencies, you don't really have a good grasp of what's going on. This is like a shadow economy. And what the government is doing is hiding certain aspects of it from you, from economists, so they cannot report the truth and you can't see truly how bad this is. Truly how bad it is. And once you realize how bad it is, you can start doing something about it. Now, here's the thing, and I think this is the most important part of this. If you don't have your credit score set up and tight, and there are a lot of people that don't even understand that the difference between a thick binder and a thin binder, where you go, hey, I've got a 780 credit score. You're like, yeah, but it's because you've had like 3 loans in your life. When you go for big money and you're like, hey, houses have just fallen by, right now in Austin, it's being reported 30%, right? But when they're down 50 and 60 and 70%, I know it sounds crazy, but they're going to, and you go in for a loan, they're going to, we've tightened our standards. We need like substance behind your credit score. When you don't have that, it's crazy. And most people don't even know how to roll $25 over from one billing statement to the next and how important that is. Just $25 and paying, like, I'm not joking, like 84 cents in interest for 1 month and what that does to your credit score. There are so few people that understand this, but the people that do, they walk into banks and banks just go, what do you want? And how much do you want? I was talking to a subscriber the other day. I sat there and he goes, I remember in 2008, I needed a family truck and I went to go, one of my coworkers had a truck for sale, a Dodge Ram. And he said, I wanted to buy it from him. He wanted X for it. But the dealerships were in so much pain. They were hurting so bad. He goes, I went in and I bought, instead of buying a 2-year-old Dodge Ram from my coworker, and it was a fair price. It was what they were asking for in the papers, right? Or on websites used. He went into the dealership and he negotiated, because of his stellar credit, he negotiated the exact same truck, but brand spanking new, for $20,000 less than the used one. That's what happens though when you walk in and everything's crashing around you and you've got good credit, and they sit there and they go, what do you want? We'll give it to you right now. And then you get to negotiate and save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars right there. This is the most important part. I've been harping on people forever, like, you've got to get your credit score right, but I got so many emails saying, well, what do I do? So we put this together. We put together an incredible class. It's $39 right now if the links are still good. I'm putting out a handful of links every day for 7 days, and we're going to try and get as many credit scores fixed around the country. And it's still in pre-filming. Half of the course is done. The other half is at the editors, and they're going to get done the next week. Hope you got something out of this. The Economic Ninja is out.